it's pretty much dropped during the pandemic.
Right.
So I haven't seen it really materially change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For some women, it can be difficult to ask for what they believe they deserve financially. Would you have any advice to give to women on how to ask for what they deserve?
Yeah, I have a friend who always talks about this, and she says, ask for the amount that will make you laugh out loud, and then just go slightly below that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how do you know where to go? How do you know how to do the amount that makes you laugh out loud? Is it the unthinkable, or it's your wish,
Yeah,
or you've done research and so you know you're in the ballpark?
right. All of those.
All of those. And to women who are looking for funding, what can you suggest to them in terms of presenting themselves for consideration?
Yeah, this is one of my pet peeves because it always comes back to when people talk about this, they always come back to, well, the woman lacks confidence, or the woman doesn't present the same way as a man, or all these things. The woman needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Right.
the
Right.
system. The system is stacked against women, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's what the book talks about. It
Mm-hmm.
is right. The women are doing a great job, and even though they might have some confidence gap, that gap is closing at
Mm-hmm.
least. And so it's really now systemic change that needs to happen.
Mm-hmm. Why do you say that the gap is closing in terms of women's self-confidence? How do you see that occurring?
Just because of all of the advances, like I said before, in you can't see it, you can't be it if you can't see it. So
Mm-hmm.
the governments and women at senior levels more than ever before, women on boards. Um, I think that the younger generations really feel like they can get there, whereas the older generations maybe operated more from a viewpoint of scarcity, that there was only one seat at the table, so they weren't going to help other women along
Mm-hmm.
because it would be at their expense. Now the table's expanding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it feels less competitive in some ways, more
Hopefully,
collaborative.
yeah,
Hopefully,
hopefully
yeah,
women
yeah.
are helping other women.
Mm-hmm. You describe how being an investor in women entrepreneurs is a learner's paradise. Can you tell us a little bit about what you mean about that?
I think I was describing investing in blockchain as a learner's paradise. So yes, that is the revolution that is happening in our financial systems, as well as the use of that technology in so many other sectors: healthcare, governance, climate change, identity, land use rights, supply chains. There is so much happening in that sector, and I've been in it for, I don't know, the past 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Decentralized finance, and that in and of itself is hard to keep up with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're literally, this new technology is allowing instruments to be formed, traded, settled, custodied, in so many new ways that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that you it's a Cambrian explosion, and
Mm-hmm.
so that makes it a learner's paradise.
Mm-hmm. You talk a lot about sort of looking at the differences in what women obviously take in terms of funding for their businesses versus men. I imagine you've done a lot of negotiations also with men, and can kind of see what are some of the differences, what are some of the um, experiences that women have that they can do well in negotiations. Just sort of to talk a little bit about um, good negotiation skills as a woman at a table of men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know that I've seen any gender differences there, negotiations. I think it's just, as you well know, a psychological game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And one that you just get better with over time, just from practicing.
And speaking to the psychological, which of course, yes, is something that I'm interested in. What is the psychological, if there was something you could say to our listeners today in terms of negotiation, not getting sort of stuck in maybe I'm not good enough or I'm not smart enough, what could you sort of say to them towards that psychological struggle?
Well, self-talk, tell yourself the opposite of what you're thinking. Read Getting to Yes. It's an old book, but it's still a good one. And don't be afraid to walk away.
Great things to say. How has your upbringing made it harder or easier for you to master a mindset of success?
Well, I come from a family that were survivors and raised on fear. So that made it very difficult. But always having to, push yourself to achieve the next thing, to outrun whatever might be coming for you. So I don't know that that's made it, that got me to where I am now, maybe.
But maybe it has to stay in the fight, though, by the way.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's a sense that you're used to what it takes to work through, I don't know, whatever's coming towards you.
Right. And just never give up. That mentality.
What do you think having good founder DNA is?
Grit, in a word.
Speaking of not giving up.
Right. That's good, because it's really lonely and hard to be an entrepreneur. And, things will fail and your business will pivot. And if you quit, then, right, I've seen that happen, right? I've seen entrepreneurs just walk away. So it's really resilience and determination and passion. I find that it's not passion for making a lot of money. It's passion for a purpose that's bigger than yourself.
Thank you. All really interesting, helpful thoughts for our listeners. I want to thank you for sharing with our listeners today your motivation for why you chose to be a female entrepreneur, and also how you overcame some of the obstacles that you've encountered during your journey. Where can people reach out to learn more about you?
LinkedIn or Twitter at Amolis Nisa.
Okay, great. Thank you again very much. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
This podcast is brought to you by Women Entrepreneurs Global, the first startup studio and digital DIY startup platform for women. For more information on her guests, this podcast, and many other female founder programs, please visit womenentrepreneurs.global. We believe in open and non-stigmatizing dialogue about the hidden psychological difficulties experienced by many successful entrepreneurs and highlighting the strategies used to overcome them, such as the fear of failure, of not being good enough, and that loud, chattering internal critic is critical to helping other founders achieve success. Please join her next week for more Mindset for Success stories. That was Dr. Leslie Knudsen, and you can drop her a line at dr.leslieKnudsen@dr.leslieKnudsen.com.